Tonight, our journey carries us to the timeless lands of Middle-earth, where ancient forests whisper secrets of old, and mighty rivers sing songs of legends. It is a place where the light of the stars illuminates paths untrodden, and the air is heavy with the scent of pine and the promise of adventure. Picture yourself pulling up a wooden stool beside a crackling fire in the heart of an elven glade. The warmth of the flames cradles you, their flickers dancing across the forest floor. Imagine the walls of Minas Tirith standing tall and proud, guarding the ancient secrets within the heart of the city. So let the worries and thoughts of the day fade away and settle into your coziest nook. Now join me as we journey through the tales of Legolas, the Prince Archer, exploring the magic and mystery that surround his legendary adventures. His keen eyes have seen the farthest reaches of this world, and his swift longbow has defended its deepest secrets. Let's embark on a journey into the serene and magical realm of Middle-earth, away from the hustle and bustle of daily life. Begin by finding a comfortable place to sit or lie down, wherever you can feel completely at ease. Gently close your eyes and take a slow, deep breath in, feeling the air fill your lungs. Release it slowly, letting go of any tension. With every breath, feel your body relax deeply. Your shoulders, your arms, your legs, all becoming wonderfully weightless. As your body settles, imagine yourself standing at the edge of Rivendell, the last homely house east of the sea. The air here is crisp, filled with the fragrance of blooming Eleanor and Nifredil flowers that sway gently in the breeze. Tall, elegant trees surround you, their leaves whispering ancient Elvish songs that speak of wisdom and peace. The sounds of laughter and soft conversations drift through the air from the hidden elven halls, blending harmoniously with the babbling of nearby brooks that cascade down rocky slopes. Feel the cool, smooth stones under your feet as you walk through the lush gardens, the grass soft and springy beneath your steps. Next, find yourself standing by the shores of the mighty Anduin River. Its clear, sparkling waters reflect the deep blue of the sky, and the twinkling stars begin to emerge as night falls. As you gaze across the water, you see the majestic peaks of the Misty Mountains in the distance, their snow-capped summits glowing softly under the light of the rising moon. Imagine the countless secrets and the hidden lore deep within its cavernous embrace, where creatures of unknowable power dwell. With each breath, let the essence of these places fill you with peace and wonder. Now, fully immersed in this serene world, allow yourself to be drawn into the enchanting tales of Legolas, the Prince Archer of Mirkwood. The sun dipped low on the horizon, casting long shadows over the verdant hills of Ithilien. Legolas stood at the edge of a balcony, overlooking the lush expanse that he had helped to rejuvenate. His keen eyes scanned the distant trees, a gentle breeze rustling the leaves. Despite the beauty of the scene before him, a sense of unease gnawed at his heart. A raven circled overhead, its dark silhouette stark against the twilight sky. It descended swiftly, landing gracefully on the stone railing beside him. Legolas extended his arm, allowing the bird to hop onto his wrist. Attached to its leg was a small, rolled parchment. With a sigh, he unfurled the message, recognizing his father's seal immediately. Legolas, my son, dark whispers have reached my ears from the depths of Dol Guldur. Though the fortress was cleansed, a shadow stirs once more. The forest grows restless, and our scouts have beheld strange and unsettling visions. We are in dire need of your aid. Thranduil, King of Mirkwood. Legolas felt a chill run down his spine. The scars of the past war were still fresh in his mind, and the thought of another threat rising was troubling. He knew his duty was clear. The next morning, he prepared for his journey, his heart heavy with the weight of impending darkness. He clasped his dark green cloak around his shoulders and carefully placed wrapped lembas bread into his pack. As he saddled his horse, a familiar voice broke through his thoughts. Legolas, are you leaving without bidding farewell? He turned to see Tauriel, her red hair catching the morning light. Her eyes filled with concern. I must return to Mirkwood, he replied, his voice steady and calm. There is trouble stirring in Dol Guldur. Tauriel's expression hardened with resolve. Then I shall go with you, she said with finality. Legolas knew it was no use protesting, and in truth was glad for her company. I should have known you wouldn't let me leave alone, my friend, he said, a faint smile gracing his lips and a sense of determination settling over him. Let us make haste. Mirkwood needs us. Their journey was arduous. The path to Mirkwood through the terrain was rough and steep. They climbed over jagged rocks and navigated narrow ledges. The wind howling through the ancient trees. As they traveled, their banter lightened the burden of the adventure. The many moons and years they had shared, a testament to their strong friendship. Tauriel glanced down at Legolas from the cliff, a teasing smile on her lips. Come now, Legolas. Try to keep up. I would hate to have to tell your father that I had to leave you behind. Legolas laughed, his breath steady despite the climb. Fear not, Tauriel. I shall do my best to stay by your side. Good, she replied, amusement in her voice. I would not want to carry the guilt of outpacing the Prince of Mirkworth. The air grew colder as they neared the borders of Mirkworth. The trees taller and darker, their branches twisting like skeletal fingers. The familiar scent of pine mingled with an underlying sense of decay. One evening, as they camped beneath the stars, Toriel spoke softly, her voice a mere whisper against the crackling fire. Do you think this darkness is akin to that of old? Legolas stared into the flames, his mind drifting back to the followers of Morgoth and Sauron. I cannot say. It is of something evil, we know. The realm carries a shadow of darkness to it. Toriel nodded, her eyes reflecting the dancing firelight. But we shall face it together, come what may. Legolas felt a surge of gratitude and admiration for his companion. Thy faith is a beacon, my dear friend. It guides us even in the darkest of times. His eyes began to twinkle with mischief. In truth, I almost feel sorry for our enemies. Having to face both of us in battle must be a daunting fate. The silence that followed was comforting. A shared understanding that needed no words. They were bound by their past and their promise to protect their home. They knew that whatever awaited them in the depths of Dol Guldur, they would face it side by side. Their hearts and arrows united against the encroaching darkness. As they drew closer to the heart of the forest, signs of the encroaching evil became more apparent. Webs hung thick from the trees, glistening with dew in the pale light. The once vibrant undergrowth was now choked with twisted vines and shadowy forms that skittered away just out of sight. Upon reaching Thranduil's halls, they were greeted with a mix of relief and apprehension. Thranduil embraced his son, his eyes betraying the worry that his regal demeanor could not mask. Legolas, Toriel, your swift arrival is most welcome. The forest is changing. We must find the source of this new evil. Legolas nodded, his gaze steely with determination. We will find it, Father, and we will end it. That night, they enjoyed the hospitality of the woodland elves. Despite the dark times, King Thranduil spared no expense for his son. Legolas and Toriel feasted on the finest game and the sweetest fruits before having a well-earned rest. But soon dawn came, and with it the burden of duty. They ventured deeper into the darkening forest, the shadows growing thicker with each step. The once familiar paths were now twisted and treacherous, the air heavy with malice. As they approached Dol Guldur, the sense of foreboding intensified. Legolas and Toriel moved with silent grace, their elven senses attuned to every sound and movement. The further they ventured, the more the forest seemed to close in around them, and sunlight rarely touched the forest floor. Legolas halted abruptly, his keen eyes spotting a disturbance in the undergrowth. "Do you see it?" he whispered, pointing to a set of deep, clawed tracks that marred the forest floor. Toriel knelt beside the tracks, her brow furrowing. "These are fresh. The creature that made them is close." A rustling sound to their left drew their attention. Both elves nocked arrows, their bows ready. From the shadows emerged a group of Thranduil's scouts, their faces drawn with fatigue and fear. "The spiders are everywhere," one of the scouts reported. "Their queen has taken residence in the ruins of Dol Guldur. We cannot move through the forest without encountering their webs." Legolas and Toriel followed the scouts back to Thranduil's camp, where the Elven king was already marshaling his warriors. The atmosphere was tense, every elf aware of the gravity of the situation. Thranduil's voice rang out, clear and commanding. "Today we fight for Mirkworth. The Spider Queen and her brood must be driven from our lands. We will reclaim our home." The elves moved swiftly, their movements a well-practiced dance of precision and grace. As they approached the ruins of Dol Guldur, the sight that greeted them was harrowing. The once mighty fortress was enshrouded in thick, glistening webs, casting an eerie, pallid sheen over the ancient stone. The air was alive with the chittering of countless spiders, their eyes gleaming like sinister stars in the gloom. The battle began with a hail of arrows, the elves' expert marksmanship thinning the ranks of the spiders. But the real challenge lay ahead, within the dark halls of Dol Guldur itself. Legolas and Toriel led the charge, their blades flashing as they cut through the webs and the monstrous spiders that emerged to defend their queen. The air was thick with the acrid smell of venom and decay, the sounds of battle echoing through the twisted corridors. As they ventured deeper into the fortress, an unsettling silence fell upon them. The corridors grew narrower, the walls slick with moisture and covered in a sickly, bioluminescent fungus. Their footsteps echoed softly, each one a reminder of the countless souls that had been lost in this accursed place. They made their way to the heart of the fortress, where the Spider Queen awaited them. She was a monstrous being, her body a grotesque amalgamation of dark chitin and glistening webs. Her many eyes reflected the torch's light with a malevolent gleam. Legolas and Toriel moved as one, a seamless blend of archery and swordsmanship. Legolas's arrows struck with pinpoint accuracy, distracting the beast and driving her back. while Toriel darted in and out, her blades finding the Spider Queen's vulnerable spots. The Queen screeched in fury, her monstrous legs thrashing, and webs shooting out in desperate attempts to ensnare her attackers. "Legolas, to the left!" Toriel shouted as she narrowly avoided a spray of venom. Legolas leapt to the side, loosing arrows that embedded themselves in the Queen's chitinous hide. Each hit seemed to weaken her, but she fought back with relentless fury. Toriel moved with the agility of a dancer, her twin blades cutting through the webs and slicing at the Queen's legs. The Spider Queen reared back, her eyes locking onto Toriel with murderous intent. With a swift motion, she lunged at the elf, her massive jaws snapping. Legolas, seeing Toriel in danger, drew his bowstring back to its limit. "Toriel, now!" he yelled. Toriel dove to the side just as Legolas released his arrow. The projectile flew straight and true, striking the Spider Queen in one of her many eyes. She let out a deafening scream, rearing back in pain. Seizing the opportunity, Toriel rolled to her feet and lunged forward. With a fierce cry, she drove both her blades deep into the Queen's underbelly, twisting them with all her strength. The Spider Queen convulsed, her legs flailing wildly as she screeched her death throes. The battle seemed to pause as the massive creature fell, her body twitching before finally lying still. Silence fell over the dark halls of Dol Guldur, broken only by the labored breathing of the Elven warriors. Legolas and Toriel stood over the fallen Queen, their faces reflecting the exhaustion and relief of victory. "It is done," Legolas said, his voice heavy with the weight of their struggle. Toriel nodded, wiping the sweat from her brow. "But the forest is still infested. We must drive out the rest of these creatures and cleanse Mirkwood of their taint." The elves rallied, their spirits buoyed by the death of the Spider Queen. They moved methodically through the fortress and the surrounding forest, rooting out the remaining spiders and destroying their webs. The battle was fierce, but the elves fought with renewed determination. By the time the sun began to set, the last of the spiders had been driven out or slain. The forest, though still scarred, began to feel lighter, the oppressive weight of the darkness lifting. Thranduil approached his son in Toriel, his eyes filled with pride and gratitude. "You have done a great service for our people, and for all of Middle-earth. Mirkwood owes you a debt that can never be repaid." Legolas shook his head. "We fight for our home, Father. That is all the reward we need." Toriel placed a hand on Legolas's shoulder. "And now, we must begin the healing. The forest needs us more than ever." Together, the elves set about the arduous task of restoring Mirkworth. They cleared away the webs and debris, tended to the wounded trees, and planted new life where darkness had taken root. It was a labor of love and dedication, every elf contributing to the renewal of their home. The forest began to transform under their care. Where once there were webs in decay, there now sprang new life. The saplings grew tall and straight, their leaves unfurling to catch the sunlight that now pierced the once dark canopy. Flowers bloomed in vibrant colors, and the forest floor, once choked with twisted vines, was now carpeted with lush green moss and delicate ferns. As the days turned into weeks, the elves' hard work continued. They constructed new homes, high in the trees, their architecture blending seamlessly with nature. The air was filled with the sounds of laughter and melody, a stark contrast to the eerie silence that had once prevailed. Thranduil, seeing the progress, called for a grand celebration to honor the efforts and sacrifices of his people. The clearing where the battle had begun was transformed into a festive gathering place. Lanterns hung from the trees, their soft glow illuminating the night. Tables were laden with food and drink, and the air was filled with the scent of fresh flowers and the sound of joyful music. Legolas and Tauriel stood at the center of the celebration, surrounded by their friends and comrades. Thranduil raised a goblet, his voice carrying over the crowd. Tonight, we celebrate our victory and the rebirth of Mirkworth. We honor those who fought and those who fell. Let this be a reminder that together we can overcome any darkness. The elves cheered, raising their glasses in a toast. Laughter and music filled the night, and for the first time in a long while, Mirkwood was alive with joy. As the celebration continued, Legolas and Tauriel found a moment of quiet by the edge of the clearing. They looked out at the forest, now a place of beauty and peace. Tauriel, Legolas began, his voice soft. I could not have done this without you. Your strength and courage have been my constant guide. Tauriel smiled, her eyes shining with emotion. And I could not have asked for a better companion. Together, we have faced the shadows and emerged into the light. Legolas took her hand, a gesture of both gratitude and deep connection. Mirkwood will thrive, and so shall we. As the night wore on, the elves danced and sang under the stars, their hearts light and their spirits high. Mirkwood, once shrouded in darkness, had been reborn through their perseverance and unity. Legolas and Toriel stood together, their bond strengthened by the trials they had faced and the hope they now shared. The shadow of Dol Guldur had been lifted, and in its place a new era of peace and prosperity had begun. In the heart of Minas Tirith, the city of kings, the white tower gleamed under the light of the sun. Legolas, the prince archer of Mirkwood, roamed the vast expanse of the city's library. It was a place where time seemed to stand still, where ancient wisdom and forgotten lore waited to be rediscovered. Legolas had journeyed to the city to visit his dear friend, Aragorn, now King Elessar, and to delve into the troves of knowledge that the city held. The library, nestled within the towering walls of the citadel, was a labyrinth of scrolls, tomes, and manuscripts, some so old that their edges crumbled at a mere touch. The scent of aged parchment and ink filled the air, mixing with the faint fragrance of beeswax candles that flickered in iron sconces. On a day like any other, as the sun cast long shadows through the high, narrow windows, Legolas found himself drawn to a dusty, neglected corner. The shelves here were crammed with volumes that had not felt the touch of a hand for many years. His sharp, elven eyes scanned in the titles, many written in tongues long forgotten by men. One particular volume, bound in cracked leather and etched with faded silver runes, caught his attention. As he carefully pulled it from its resting place, a cascade of dust particles danced in the air. The book was heavy, its pages yellowed with age. Intrigued, Legolas opened it to find an ancient map, meticulously drawn and annotated in a script he recognized as Adunaic, the language of Númenor. The map depicted a hidden vault of Númenor, said to contain relics of great power and significance. His heart quickened with curiosity and a sense of adventure. The relics of Númenor were not merely artifacts. They were pieces of a lost legacy, treasures from a time when men stood alongside elves in the struggle against darkness. Without delay, Legolas brought the map to Aragorn, who sat in the grand hall of the White Tower, surrounded by advisors and the burdens of kingship. The hall, with its high arches and banners of old, was a place of both solemnity and splendor. Aragorn, Legolas said, his voice soft yet urgent, I have discovered something that may be of great importance. Aragorn looked up from his council, his gray eyes brightening at the sight of his friend. What is it, Legolas? Legolas laid the map before the king, pointing to the intricate details and the inscriptions. This map speaks of a hidden vault of Numenor, the place where relics of the ancient kingdom are said to rest. Aragorn leaned forward, his interest piqued. He traced the lines of the map with a finger, his brow furrowing in concentration. If this is true, these relics must be found and safeguarded. The legacy of Numenor is our heritage, and its treasures must not fall into the hands of the enemy. With the king's blessing, Legolas began preparations for the journey. He would not go alone. Such an endeavor required the strength and wisdom of trusted companions. Gimli, the stout and steadfast dwarf, was quick to volunteer, eager for adventure and the promise of hidden treasure. Faramir, the wise and valiant captain of Gondor, also joined in their company, his knowledge of ancient law indispensable for the journey ahead. Together, they stood in the courtyard of the White Tower, ready to embark on their quest. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm, golden light over the city. As they mounted their steeds, the people of Minas Tirith gathered to see them off, their hearts filled with hope and pride. Aragorn addressed the crowd, his voice strong and reassuring. My friends, these brave souls journey to uncover the secrets of our past. Let us send them with our blessings and our prayers. May they return safely, bringing with them the treasures of Numenor, so that we may learn from our history and honor the legacy of those who came before us. With a final nod from Aragorn, the party set forth, their path leading towards the unknown. The road south from Minas Tirith was long and winding, leading through the rolling hills and lush fields of Gondor. As the company rode, the landscape gradually changed, giving way to the mysterious, untamed wilderness that lay beyond the borders of the kingdom. And the sounds of the city faded into the soft rustle of leaves and the distant call of birds. Legolas, with his keen senses and light step, often scouted ahead, his eyes ever watchful for signs of danger. Gimli, riding stoutly beside Faramir, kept a steady grip on his axe, ready to defend his friends at a moment's notice. Faramir, ever the scholar and strategist, pored over the map, his thoughts focused on deciphering the ancient script and guiding their way. Their journey took them through the dense forests of Ithilien, where the trees stood proud and ancient, their branches forming a verdant canopy overhead. The forest was a place of both beauty and mystery, its depths hiding many secrets. One starlit evening, as they made camp beneath a cluster of towering oaks, Faramir spoke of the legends surrounding their destination. The coasts of Umbar, he said, his voice low and thoughtful. I said, to be treacherous and wild. Long have they been the stronghold of the corsairs, who bear no love for Gondor. Gimli grunted, poking at the fire with a thick branch. Let them come, he said. I have faced worse than corsairs in my time. Legolas, who had been silently keeping watch, turned to his companions. The corsairs may be our enemies, but we must also be wary of the land itself. The map speaks of dense forests, treacherous mountains, and vast deserts. Each will pose its own challenges. Their conversation was interrupted by the distant howl of a wolf, a reminder of the dangers that lurked in the night. They took turns keeping watch, the fire casting long shadows that flickered and danced around their camp. Days turned into weeks as they traveled further south. The forests gave way to rocky terrain, the path becoming steeper and more perilous. The air grew hotter, and the sun beat down upon them mercilessly. Yet they pressed on, driven by their purpose. One afternoon, as they traversed a particularly narrow mountain pass, they encountered the first of many dangers. A group of corsairs, remnants of the defeated fleet, ambushed them from the cliffs above. Arrows rained down, and the clatter of steel echoed through the pass. Legolas, quick as lightning, loosed arrows in return, each one finding its mark. Gimli charged forward with a battle cry, his axe swinging in powerful arcs. Faramir, ever the strategist, took cover behind a boulder, his bowstring taut as he fired upon their assailants. The battle was fierce but brief. The corsairs, unprepared for the skill and determination of their foes, soon fled, leaving behind their dead and wounded. The companions tended to their own wounds, none of which were grave, and continued their journey with renewed vigilance. As they descended from the mountains, the landscape transformed once more. They found themselves in a vast desert, the sands stretching out before them like a golden sea. The heat was oppressive, and water became a precious commodity. Legolas led the way, his elven senses attuned to the slightest changes in the terrain. He found hidden springs and shaded oases where they could rest and replenish their supplies. Gimli grumbled often about the heat and the sand, but his spirits remained high. And Faramir, though weary, remained focused, his mind ever on the map and the journey ahead. One evening, as they rested by a small pool of water, Legolas spoke of the stars. In these lands, far from the lights of cities, the stars shine brightly, he said, pointing to the sky. They are a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there is light to guide us. Gimli looked up, his gruff features softening. Aye, and I'll wager those stars have seen more adventures than we ever will. Faramir smiled, the tension of the journey momentarily lifted by their camaraderie. We may not see as much as the stars, but what we do see, we will remember and share. Our stories will become part of the legends of Middle-earth. They sat in companionable silence for a moment, the fire crackling softly. Gimli, feeling a bit more light-hearted, glanced at Legolas with a mischievous glint in his eye. Legolas, do you recall when you attempted to teach me how to glide across treetops like you elves do? You all make it seem so effortless, Gimli said, feigning an exaggeratedly serious tone. Legolas laughed softly. Indeed, I remember. And if I'm not mistaken, you ended up hanging upside down from a branch, tangled in vines. Faramir laughed, picturing the scene. That must have been quite the sight. Gimli huffed, though a smile tugged at his lips. Well, if I had legs as light as twigs, the balance of a cat, and ears as pointed as his, I may have managed it better. Faramir raised an eyebrow. His curiosity piqued. Pray tell, Gimli, what difference do pointed ears make in leaping from tree to tree? Gimli stroked his beard thoughtfully, a twinkle in his eye. It's all in the drafts and currents, you see. The pointed ears cut through the wind, reducing drag and allowing for a more graceful descent. Legolas chuckled, shaking his head. If your ears were as keen as mine, Gimli, you may have heard the wild boar sneaking up on our camp last night, while you were on lookout. At that, they all laughed, the sound echoing into the night. A small comfort amidst their long journey. The map led them ever southward to the remote and rugged coasts of Umbar. The sea air brought with it a sense of anticipation and a hint of salt, a sign that they were nearing their destination. Finally, after weeks of travel, they stood upon a cliff overlooking the vast expanse of the ocean. Below them, nestled against the rocky shore, lay the ruins of an ancient fortress. The map indicated that the entrance to the hidden vault lay beneath this fortress, a place long abandoned by the Númenóreans. As they made their way down the cliffside path, the ruins loomed before them, the crumbling walls and overgrown battlements, testament to the passage of time. Yet, despite its dilapidated state, it held an aura of ancient power, a reminder of the greatness that once was. Legolas, Gimli, and Faramir stood at the entrance, their hearts filled with a mix of excitement